Hey friends, it's Peaches here. I was just going through some photos on my computer with my second pregnancy, and I decided I was gonna go ahead and put a little photo journal together to share with you guys from pregnancy to birth and a little after. Now, I got pregnant just about 3 years or so after I had kidney cancer and kidney surgery, right? The kidney was removed. And what happened is a few years or so, maybe a couple of years before I got pregnant, we went to see my gynecologist, and he told us that I had cyst on my ovaries. Now it seemed like the cyst would come and go with my periods. Anyways, what he said to us is if you're planning to get pregnant again, then it's about time you start trying, and also he told us that I should get on folic acid. Now, whether you call it folic or folic, F-O-L-I-C acid, it is a very important vitamin. And so, if you are planning to get pregnant, guys, get on folic acid because it does actually help to prevent some birth defects, right? And so, yeah, I got on folic acid, and sure enough, we became pregnant in December of 2006. Our son was born September 2007. Yeah, and so after I found out that I got pregnant, actually, yeah, I'm just sharing a little with you, friends, of what my pregnancy was like. Yeah. So after I found out that I was pregnant, it was shortly after that I just started throwing up. Like I couldn't keep anything down. I was so sick, and that happened with my first pregnancy too. As a matter of fact, with both pregnancies, I threw up from day one until the baby came out. Even the day when I was having um, cramps, and I was having what I think was contractions, I was throwing up, and I was throwing up like some, and not to be too explicit, but I was throwing up some yellow stuff, and usually it was very bitterish. Now, getting back to where I diverted, yeah, I found out that I was pregnant and I started getting sick. And so I had to, most of the time, what I ate was just a bunch of veggies in like a broth. That is the only thing I could keep down. And so, yeah, and it was a morning sickness. It was throughout the day sickness from morning to evening. As a matter of fact, at some points I couldn't even keep down the veggie broth, and so I would drink like that's the only time I actually drank pop. The only thing I could keep down was either 7 Up or Sprite, and then I could eat a grapefruit like in the mornings. And so, yeah, with the visits to the gynecologist, he eventually put me on diclectin. I think it's spelled Diclectin. With my first pregnancy, I also had to use diclectin. But did it work? No, it didn't work. It didn't stop me from throwing up. I threw up just the same. As a matter of fact, I was working at the time and I had to take quite a few days off work because I was just sick, and seeing me when I'm out, you wouldn't know that. But yeah, both pregnancies were pretty rough when it came on to, I would say, day sickness, because as I said, it was throughout the day. Anyways, I would still get up and go and get ready and do stuff around the home. Yeah, and I can't forget to mention that my urologist was so good that when I went to see him, because I still had to see him every now and again, right, to um, do my checks to make sure that everything was well. But when he found out that I was pregnant, he was so kind that he gave me his personal phone number, gave me his personal phone number and told me that if I ever had any issues, I should give him a phone call. Thank God I didn't have any issues. I didn't have protein in urine. I didn't have sugar problems, pressure problems. I didn't have any of those problems apart from the throwing up. I basically went through the pregnancy pretty smoothly until birth. Now, I don't know if I mentioned before. Did I mention that on the day when I was having contractions, getting ready to give birth, it was my birthday, guys. Yeah, it was my birthday. And so, yeah, I pictures there, you will see that I was smiling and everything, but it wasn't that rosy. The very same day, I ended up in the hospital, and it was quite a bit of waiting before the doctor decided that our son wasn't quite turned, like I think it was supposed to be forward facing or something like that, and he wasn't in that position, and she said she didn't want to wait because my water had already broken, and so she went ahead and she decided to do a C-section. Now, one of the funny things I remember, yeah, my hubby was there, and he got to cut the cord just like he cut our, no, he didn't cut the other, yeah, yeah, he did, he cut our first son's cord. But yeah, I got to cut the cord, and then they laid him on my chest before they took him away because they did a C-section, and so they took the baby just to check everything to make sure everything was okay, and to clean up the baby. But one of the things that I remember so vividly is after he was taken out and they had finished, there was a lot of tucking and pushing and pulling. But after they were finished and I was in the recovery room, and the nurse told me I should wiggle my toes. And I said to her, I can't feel my toes. And she said, don't worry, you're wiggling your toes. So I was wiggling my toes, but I couldn't feel that I was wiggling my toes. Yeah, that was quite funny. And so, yeah, I had a pretty decent delivery, and we stayed in the hospital for a couple of days because, as I said, it was C-section, so they wanted to make sure everything was fine with the baby. Plus, they had given me a catheter, and so, because I had one kidney, they actually had to wait until when they removed the catheter to make sure I was urinating the amount of cc's of liquid that they wanted me to be passing at the time. Because when they remove the catheter, it's like you have no feeling and it's hard for you to pass urine. And so, yeah, that was a bit of a challenge there. Also, in some of the photos, you will see me wearing a stocking. That was a compression stocking. And I used my little brain here when I was going to the hospital to have the baby. I actually took my compression stocking because when I had the kidney surgery, I woke up in compression stocking, and that is to prevent any blood clots. And so I figured, okay, I'm going to take my compression stockings, and I put them on. And the doctors and nurses were pretty impressed because they were actually going to be giving me compression stockings because of my history and the fact that I had one kidney and I just had the baby. And yeah, my legs were a little swollen, but nothing to speak of. And yeah, I did wear my compression stocking, and I came home with a new pair from the hospital. I think we had to pay for it though. Yeah, I think we had to pay for that compression stocking. Anyways, yeah, my mom was there, my husband was there, and our son came after to visit with the baby, as you can see. And Yeah, yeah, I came out of the hospital with the baby. Our son was, he weighed just over 7 pounds when when they took him out. And that was amazing. The fact that I could hardly keep anything down while I was pregnant. It was amazing that he was over 7 pounds. And I was thankful that he was a pretty long baby too. Right now he is 17 years old and he's almost 5 feet 11 inches. Yeah. So yeah, came home with my mama, and you'll see in some of the pictures that my mama was the first one, just like with our first son, to wash the baby's hair and to give the baby a bath. She showed me a thing or two when we had our first child. She was able to stay with us for the first child longer. For the second son, she was able to stay, I think, 2 or 3 weeks after he was born. And then, yeah, we had to get back. We were a couple with 2 kids, and my husband was working like two or two and a half, 3 jobs. And so, yeah, it was pretty tricky at that time. But thank God we made it through. Yeah, we made it through. And yeah, we were in an apartment at that time, as you would have noticed. And thank God, as I said, we made it through. And so, yeah, if there are any questions you guys want to ask me, you can go ahead and drop it in the comment section below. Um, I appreciate your comments as usual, and your likes. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Just thought I'd share a bit of my journey that has been before starting YouTube with you guys. You take care now, and I will see you again or talk to you again soon in the next one. Bless you. P.S. Not only did I take the folic acid before I got pregnant, but when I got pregnant, I continued taking it. Plus, I was also taking Materna. Materna is a full supplement for pregnant people. No, I not only took the Materna throughout the pregnancy, but I also took it throughout the time our son was breastfeeding. And guess what? That young man breastfed up until who knows when. I actually had to try hard to wean him off. I don't know. Maybe that's why he is so strong. He doesn't get sick very often, which I'm thankful for. The only thing is, guys, when he was born, yeah, it's like I'm starting another story all over. But when he was born, after a while, we realized that he spat up a lot. Like he didn't stop puking, 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 as we say in Jamaica. And so, yeah, sometimes he would puke, even like projectile puking. Took him to the doctor, they checked him over, they sent him to do an ultrasound. And it was a tiny, tiny, tiny baby. And yeah, they said that everything was okay. It's just something that's happening. Yeah, it happens to some babies. Like when we go out, we'd have to take like at least a half a dozen dip, and sometimes they would wet them all, and so we would have to get on our way and go home. But you know what? It is such a lovely thing to have a baby, a thriving baby. Uh, Being a mother is a miracle, and I love every minute of every minute.